Good evening. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Wendell Town Board of Commissioners and welcome all of you. We're happy to have all of you here tonight. Thank you for joining us here, and if you're watching on TV, thank you for that. We're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight by Eastwake High School student Sarah Alfonso Betancourt. And I have to tell you, I had a chance to visit with her before the meeting and her lovely parents. They're very proud of her. And she is just going to accomplish so many great things. So y'all need to look out for her. She's getting ready to go to Elon. She got a huge scholarship. And I'm so proud of you for that. That's great. Going to do great things and make Wendell proud. So Sarah Alfonso Betancourt is a wonderful student and person. She maintains an impressive GPA of 4.403 while choosing to take the most rigorous course load. Beyond her academic achievements, Sarah is a pleasure to just be around. She is active in the theater program, participated as a junior marshal, and is always available to support her fellow classmates, all while maintaining her signature bubbly attitude. And she does. If you get a chance to chat with her, you should tonight. She's a lovely young lady. She's going to do great things. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, our invocation tonight, we're going to hear from Ed Keegan from the Wendell Council of Churches, specifically from St. Eugene's Catholic Church. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, worthy commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to lead you in prayer. First off, since yesterday was Memorial Day, I thought I'd start off with the Memorial Day prayer. Gracious Lord, on this Memorial Day, we pray for those who courageously laid down their lives for the cause of freedom. May the examples of their sacrifice inspire in us the selfless love of your Son. Bless the families of our fallen troops and fill their homes and their lives with your strength and peace. In union with people of goodwill of every nation, embolden us to answer the call to work for peace and justice, and thus seek an end to violence and conflict around the globe. We ask this through your name. Amen.
Amen.
Lord, grant that we may always allow ourselves to be guided by you, always follow your plans, and perfectly accomplish your holy will. Grant that in all things, great and small, today and all the days of our lives, we may do whatever you require of us. Help us respond to the slightest promptings of your grace so that we may be your trustworthy instruments for your honor. May your will be done. Amen.
Thank you. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? If none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
All right, there's a motion to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. All right, we'll move to our public comment period. The public may participate in public comment by signing up at the podium the night of the meeting, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Or you could submit written statements via email to the town clerk, and as long as they're received by 5 o'clock on the Friday before the meeting, which is usually on Monday, happens to be on Tuesday tonight, it will be read into the record for a length of 3 minutes. We have neither tonight, but I always like to say it anyhow because I encourage people to let us know what they're thinking. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. All right. We're going to move into Section 4, recognitions, reports, and presentations. If Mr. Janes can come forward. This is the recognition of Eastwake High School teacher, Mr. John Janes. Mr. Janes is in his second career. He retired in 2025 from the field of engineering and started a new career in teaching at Eastwake High School in August of 2025. He's committed to the success of his students. The students say that Mr. Janes comes to school on Saturdays to help them and holds tutoring sessions after school as well. Mr. Janes helps out whenever he's needed in the school. He showed up to the prom early to work and stayed after to help with the cleanup. He is a major asset to Eastwake High School. We just wanted to have you here and thank you for all the things that you do for our kids at Eastwake High School and for our kids in Wendell. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mayor and the board. I think tonight you saw why so many people go into teaching. Miss Betancourt, she's the future of America, and yeah, we do get paid. We're very thankful for our pay, but the true benefit we get from teaching is seeing success stories like Miss Betancourt. And if you ever want to volunteer at Eastwake High School, we have the prom every year. Football season is right around the corner if y'all want to sell concessions. Starting June 5th, right around the corner, if you want to volunteer to help with end-of-course testing, no one will turn you down. I'd also like to speak for the staff at Eastwake High School. We send tremendous thanks to the whole community of Wendell. All the parents entrust us with their children. That's an honor. We take it very seriously, so thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move into section 5, public hearings. Item 5A is the continued public hearing for the disinterment, relocation, and reinterment of a grave located at 3130 Buckstage Trail to Greenmount Cemetery in Wendell.
Good evening, Mayor and board members. The applicant has requested that this public hearing be continued to the June 22nd meeting, as they are in the middle of doing the ground penetrating radar and updating what's on site out there today.
Okay, so we need a motion to continue it to June
Yes.
22nd. Okay, do we have a motion to continue the meeting to the public hearing to June 22nd?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Okay, is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Item 5B is a public hearing for the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget. And we're going to hear from Mr. Collins. Those of you that don't know him, this is his favorite time of the year.
Just glowing.
He loves the budget.
You know you have a problem when you schedule surgeries around budget season so that you can make sure that you're here to present a budget. And like my new wife, Crystal, we got married Sunday, for those of y'all that didn't know. So there are a lot of big things. Yeah. And she knew that this is so important to me that she's here to.
I see you have moral support. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. You need it to have to be around all the rest of us, so that's good.
And for the two new members, I will not read the whole budget. For the public, there's a nice thick document full of, we are very transparent about what we do and how we spend your tax dollars. We take it very, very, very seriously in Wendell. There's always so much more that's needed to do than we have the funds to do, and this board prioritized that. For many of y'all, this started a couple years ago with this budget with strategic planning, and this being implementing the second year of that. So this is seeing a full policy cycle of your work and getting things implemented and starting that new strategic plan next year. This isn't something that the town of Wendell comes up with. This is set by state law. It's a state law that was created shortly after the Great Depression to make sure that we are very fiscally conservative, prudent with our resources, and follow a very specific process to get to budget adoption that happens the same time every year. Our budgets have to balance, unlike everybody else, and we do have to adopt something by time specific. So thank you all for working with staff, and I'd like to just start by acknowledging how much work staff does to get it to this point for me to present to you. So the first thing that everybody wants to hear is really about the fourth bullet down. There's no property tax increase recommended in the budget. So property tax rates recommended to remain at 42 cents per $100 value. I can't control what your property value does, but we can set the property rate at a point to collect enough revenue to do what needs to get done and implement services. And there's no increase in that proposed in the manager's budget. There are new fees for field engineering and inspections, which we've reviewed. There is a small solid waste fee increase of $2. That'll help with the new solid waste fund so that the general fund, your property tax, is not subsidizing that business type expense. Likewise, it's implementing an equivalent residential unit study that the board had done last year to make sure that the stormwater fees are appropriately spread out for impervious surface. That'll set just a flat fee that is a small increase over last year for residential units. It includes religious institution and properties as a residential unit. And I know there's at least one property owner listening and maybe one in the room that owns a lot of small undeveloped properties. Those are exempt and not charged because they don't have impervious surface on them. So it is a rational application of funds to collect again for a business type expense so that we're not subsidizing it with our property taxes. New this year is in the fund structure, solid waste fund, and in the general fund, there's a couple new budgets. We have a policy of maintaining a calculation of at least 40% in our general fund reserve, our rainy day fund, if you will. If a bad storm happens or something requires significant funding, the town has 40% of its annual last year's audited operating funds set aside to continue operations and get properties cleaned up and cleared up or whatever that emergency need is until federal funding, if that becomes available, reimburses. And also continuing of our funding from our bond revenue. We have 11.7 in revenue, but the total borrowing amounts $12 million. Those are transportation bond funds this year. I'm sure everybody in the public is seeing the intersection at Wendell Falls Parkway and Eagle Rock Road under construction, and so we have to start making some payments on that in the coming year, as well as Eagle Rock Road and Wendell Boulevard design advancing in the coming year. I know one thing that prior boards and this board have been proud of is that showing that our budget has developed professionally and is reviewed by financial peers across the country, and that we are meeting a standard by the governmental finance officials as a distinguished budget presentation. We've got that for the last 7 years. That's the 7 budgets that I've been part of. We believe as staff that this one was prepared consistent with continuing that recognition. You can see the flashy new cover that was on the budget, and I'd like to thank Tyler for helping with that development. Our communication staff is always creative and reflective of what we're trying to do. And so just kind of looking through the budget document shortly, each year, as you know, our budget's becoming a little more complex. Our organization is growing with the community, and that requires a couple little new nuances. Nothing yet that I haven't seen in my experience, but it's been interesting to watch Wendell grow in its complexity, and then making sure that you're still being transparent about what you're doing and why you're adding these. The big changes, again, our human resources was part of the administration department. In the coming fiscal year, they have 4 positions and a director. So they're an HR department, and they have their own budget department lines. One of the things we talked about is making sure that we have funds to be flexible to the needs of the community and not always going to our reserve fund to solve problems. So I heard that from the board last year, and we did provide for a contingency within our general fund of the amount you see on the screen there to help have that flexibility within our budget to solve problems as they come up, and hopefully be able to add, if they don't come up, to add to our reserve fund in the next year. Similar to that is a challenge of past and current board was as we start making the debt service payments for the bond issuances, not having to increase property taxes year over year over year as those issuances happen. And so part of that is intentionally budgeting funds that will go towards making next year and future year payments. And so in our debt service fund includes what's equivalent to a couple cents of property tax being set aside for that future year payment so that we don't have to increase the rate in future years. Stormwater fund, you'll see a little bit there. Those all stayed fairly the same as prior years. Rapidly growing community and organization, our challenges are roughly the same. That's the one consistency in a constantly changing environment, is that we maintain a people-first commitment. And I want to commend the board that when I met with y'all individually, that was the first thing out of each of y'all's mouths, is we need to make sure we take care of our people because they take care of our community. And I have a lot of respect, and I know staff respects that policy viewpoint that y'all clearly iterated. Second is being able to keep providing that core level of municipal service. You know, people still need to have police response when they call 911. They need the roads resurfaced. They need the sidewalks maintained and installed. They need the water to drain. The basic things and purpose of local government need to happen despite the growth. And so making sure that we're planning ahead and doing what we need to do to maintain those service levels within the departments. Growing communities have growing capital needs that cost more and more. You know, one recreation center with one gym floor for 6,500 people that's heavily used is not going to serve 25,000 people. And so the cost of that new facility increases with the cost of that need over time. And so solving for those capital needs for a growing community is probably our biggest challenge. Prioritizing those resources, hearing what's important to y'all in the community, and making sure that we put that first. And I think, once again, we've reflected what we've heard from you in this budget. We take pride in you know, knock again on wood, a low turnover rate in Wendell. It's a good general marker of, are we putting people first? We can't control in a small organization retirements or change of life things. You know, when you have a low number of employees, it doesn't take a lot to get to a high percentage. But we take pride that we're under 10%. That's exceptional. It's hard to find anywhere. And it takes a lot of work by a lot of good staff taking care of each other. And it takes the policy commitment by the board in what y'all consider in your budget. Within this budget, it's maintaining that compression, busting 3% increase. One thing that we heard is asking for flexibility between the health reimbursement account and the life balance account. And so there's one lump sum, and employees will be able to adjust how much goes into which of those for them for the coming plan year, which was probably their number one request. They like both of those products for different reasons. We did some negotiating on some of our health costs, and it came in flat. I can't remember anything since the 1900s that's happened in my career, to be fair. So we're very happy for that this year. There's not a compensation and classification this year. Next year, we'll pick that back up. As you know, we implemented in our current fiscal year the full outside consultant comp and class. Next year, we'll start with a third of the positions. We anticipate the third primarily being looking at the new fire department being merged. Helping people first, but also maintain service levels is maintain staff. Nothing's changed from what I've presented in this in the past. I think if every position requested was funded, it might have been closer to 20, 21 positions. We're looking at 9 and 2 as critical at this point, and to also maintain a sustainable operating budget moving forward. One thing that we find useful at this point is, I think sometimes the public understands that the cost of groceries or the cost of gas or the cost of things in their life is increasing, and it's frustrating to see other costs go up. And so we're just pointing out that inflation impacts the town as well. Our costs also go up with inflation. We drive vehicles, the police drive vehicles regularly, and so gasoline and the cost of tires and everything that's impacted, just like at home, impacts our costs. And so making sure that our budgets, flat is not maintaining a core level of service. Flat is a decrease in service provision when you're looking at the cost increase of inflation in a budget. So there's a big number that's all the things combined at $65,627,993. And that's a balanced large cost. Some of those are transfers. You're transferring a revenue or cost from one fund to another. A position might be funded out of the general fund, but they spend time doing work in the solid waste fund or the stormwater fund, so the cost gets transferred. The revenue gets transferred the other way. So when you take all those transfers out, there's about $7 million plus of transfers. So your net recommended balance budget is $58,454,498, represented by the various funds above. Whole bunch of numbers in small word. The biggest thing in the bottom corner at 40.3 is what matters. That's the maintaining the general fund balance reserve above 40%, which again becomes challenging as the operating costs go up, and the need for capital expenses also goes up. It's hard to maintain that savings account, if you will, there. But our math, we show our math, and sure enough, it's at 40.3 this year. Typically, when you're borrowing, and the local government commission, the minimum's around 8%. 40 is a very healthy recommended number. Borrowing money, you heard at length in our budget work session from Davenport, our financial advisor. We're well below our ability to borrow cap. The amount that we're proposing to borrow is well within our ability to pay back. And it's planned out over multiple years looking forward. This is just a capital fund. These are multi-year bond projects that are over $500,000 that are part of the 5-year program. This list is not all of our capital projects. I believe there's 65 or so capital projects listed in the budget. I encourage people to go read the descriptions for all the different projects about what we're doing. If you're arguing or reading about something on a community Facebook page, we're actually probably doing it, and it's in this document, or we're at least planning for it. So take some time, look at all the things that the town is actually doing. over this period of time, and it's exceptional. It's a body of work being proud of. It's reflecting what the citizens voted for in their bonds, with a lot of the larger numbers. And a lot of those are moving from design to construction in the next year. I would encourage the public to understand that we are implementing the projects that we've been designing and they've been asking for a number of years. But that does mean that there will be a little bit of disturbance, as Mayor and I like to say sometimes, if only we had a magic wand that we could wave and make roads appear complete overnight, but we have not found that yet. We are growing in a positive way. Looking at the Stormwater Fund and the associated capital projects, I talked already about the equivalent residential unit or ERU study and its implementation. You can see that increase from $625 to $10, so $375 per month, approximately $45 per year increase for a residential unit. Again, religious rates set at a single ERU. The commercial will be based on the amount of impervious surface units on their property as calculated by an engineering study. Solid waste fee, I've mentioned that increase. We have a consumer price index increase based contract with GFL for service provision that put our increase this year at 2%. The City of Raleigh tipping fee increase for landscaping. We found out even since the initial staff reported that it increased even more, I think, as it's approaching their board approval. So that's one that we're going to have to monitor very closely going into next fiscal year. We have a new downtown container site behind Grill Billy's that the pad is poured but not yet constructed. And there's a new leaf truck, a capital expense. That new leaf truck isn't going to be purchased next year, which gives us a little bit of growth in this rate as we move into next year. No positions are funded completely out of this new solid waste fund. Everything is transferred in or out for expenses when we work there. And again, no general fund subsidy. Water and sewer is kind of our dinosaur fund at this point. It's a vestige of our pre-merger and merger years. With City of Raleigh, we do not have any payments for debt in that space anymore. And so that fund is a placeholder from the past at this point. I have about 4 slides talking about how your strategic plan is implemented through this budget. This is where it formally, when the manager hands you all the recommended budget, it's not my budget anymore, it's becoming your budget. And this is where seeing the board's policy being implemented through the resources that you allocate in the budget is critical for y'all to take ownership. And so these slides talk about the 5 goal areas, and these are the things that require funding, not everything that we're working on. So if there's existing staff working on a project that doesn't require funds, we're going to keep working on that. But these are things that require funding. We'll see our first downtown streetscape implementation in the coming year in conjunction with a private property project. We'll see some parking improvements downtown. You'll see downtown infill happening as a result of that. You'll see the UDO update finished in the coming fiscal year. Hopefully the Brownfield program finished up. The Carver Community Center at Pleasant Grove, it's going to be an exceptional project when it's finished in the coming fiscal year. We continue your policy investment in public safety and training for our police department, providing them continued funding for equipment and training for high risk to a lot of the special things that they're having to respond to in law enforcement these days. Also the non-lethal training equipment. Quite a bit of infrastructure, transportation, and environment this year. Just a large number across the board, from sidewalks to intersections to stormwater improvements in a large number of places. I know the planning department just finished some charrettes with the public in a couple places for the Big Falls, Taylor, and Hollybrook. Those are really cool conceptual designs. They're very implementable in future departments using existing programs for a lot of it. So we're hopeful that we can take that from vision to implementation in a short time period moving forward. Parks and Rec has some very large hitting bond projects underway. And then within our department, you can see maintaining our ADA transition plan, the People First policy, wrapping up some construction yard. Facility use and needs study is one of those critical components that we talked about in our meetings early on. And we continue our leadership training and how to have difficult conversations that helps build our organizational culture. Which leads us to where we are today, May 26th in a budget hearing. So tonight is the statutory requirement to hold a public hearing in between the manager presenting you the recommended budget, and then a certain period of time has to go by before you can legally adopt it. So tonight you're just opening a public hearing and hearing any comments the public may have. If anybody's found any typos or corrections or anything in the budget, glad to receive those at any point also, so that our final budget document can be as clean and correct as possible. As you know, budgets are living documents that we constantly have to maintain balance during the year, so we can always correct and bring back things later if necessary. Next meeting on June 8th would be the actual adoption. And I'm happy to take any questions from the board prior to the hearing.
All right, we'll open the public hearing. Anything from the board? We've all met with you so much, you answered all of our questions.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm like in front of the public saying all
Yeah.
this, and I'm looking at people who have all heard this probably 4 or 5 times in
Numerous
different
times.
iterations over
Yeah.
the past 6 months, so,
But that's a good thing. That's good.
yeah.
Just one question, and I think it's probably helpful for those, the public watching, looking, kind of digging into this too, just as alongside of us. Can you go into a little bit more about the ERUs, residential versus non-residential, and kind of like how that shakes out?
Yeah, so what our consultants did in the study that was presented to the board separately was they evaluated what the equivalent average residential impervious surface is for a residential property in Wendell. Impervious surface means water does not sink into it. If it does not sink into it, it runs off into the public right-of-way or public drainage ditches. And before that gets into your public water bodies like the Neuse River or streams near your house, it's our responsibility and have a permit for federal law that's administered and enforced by the state. We have to have a permit that treats or slows that water so that it enters into those riparian water bodies in a manner prescribed by those laws. Trying to simplify something very complex there. So if you have a whole lot of rooftop or parking, you have a lot more water running off. And the taxpayer has to pay a lot more currently with property taxes to treat that water before it gets somewhere. And so a stormwater fee takes it away from property tax and says, the average residential property has this much rooftop and this much driveway and sidewalk, and therefore they're going to be charged this amount to provide the program that's legally required by law. If you have a larger commercial property, it might have a lot of pavement on it, then each of that amount for the average, like if you have equivalent to 10 houses, then you would pay 10 ERUs for your property. All right, so the amount of impervious surface impacts how much you pay. If you think about equity, you're paying for your impact on the system. So that's what that's based on. So most property owners are just gonna see the small increase for their residential. If you don't have impervious surface, like little HOA properties, or there might be still a developer in the back of the room that has little teeny wedges of green space at the beginning, and he was getting that $75 fee for like 0.0001 acre property, like that's now exempt and not covered because it's not impacting, it's all pervious.
So what's the threshold of, has that been defined? The threshold of exemption?
No, it's just how many ERUs you have on your property
Got you.
determines it.
Okay.
For a house, it is defined, that's one ERU.
Right.
That's the $120 for a year. $10 a month. The water, we take care of the water going away for your house for $10 a month.
Cool, thanks.
Anyone else?
Yeah, no questions, other than just a comment. There's the reporting, typically these are pretty involved, cumbersome, some would say boring numbers. I know that's a little shy. Some would say. There's a link to the document. The document is ridiculously user-friendly, award-winning, I do believe. But I would encourage you to take a look at that if you have questions. We've had the benefit of seeing this multiple times now, and certainly it's a reflection of what we've discussed and strategic plans and whatnot. But I would encourage people to click on the link, take a look. There's a lot to it, but it's really interesting stuff, fully transparent. And so when you ride around town, realize, yes, there is a lot going on. But we've got tons of plates that we're spinning in the air at the same time, and we got to pay for it. And so this acknowledges that, and again, is very transparent. So kudos to staff on that. Thank you.
Lots of pictures and graphs and color too, so that's great.
Yeah. I will also say that after the budget's adopted, staff begins working on what's called a budget in brief. And that's a very user-consumable product that in just a couple pages can break down all the things that we do. But at the same time, you start with everything, and then we show the small consumable after, if you don't want to spend the time that Garrett and I like to spend with a big document like that. And I know the board.
Anyone else, any questions? Well, please don't assume the lack of questions is lack of discussion, because we've had 2 retreats and that lasted a long time, and we've had separate individual meetings, and we've had numerous conversations on top of that. So a lot of work goes into it, so it looks
Thank you all for all your time.
very excited about it. Not as excited as you get, but we're excited. All right, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak about the budget? In favor of, if you have a question, something about it, some opposition to something about it? All right, anything else from the board? All right, we'll close the public hearing until next meeting. Or, well, we'll close the public hearing. We'll pick it up back up for action at our next meeting. All right, we'll move into our administrative items. Item 6A is the VHB contract for design services related to Wendell Falls Parkway and Eagle Rock Road Extension to Wendell Boulevard Transportation Projects. And we're going to be hearing from Assistant Town Manager Jeffrey Brown. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the board. Pleasure to be here to you tonight. We have before you a VHB contract amendment. This is the firm that is working on the Wendell Falls Parkway and Eagle Rock Road intersection, as well as the Wendell Boulevard and Eagle Rock intersections. We need to do an amendment to get the 60% drawings, design plans completed. There's some additional scope that have increased or been added to the project since this was originally approved by the board back in, I think that date was October of 2023. So they're doing additional survey work. We've extended the limits of the project itself. And so to keep it moving, we need to do this contract amendment. The contract amendment you have before you tonight is in the amount of $496,995.76. With this addition, the total contract price will become $1,718,000.34. And so what we have before you is a motion to approve the contract amendment for VHB for design services related to Wendell Falls Parkway and Eagle Rock Road. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
Can you just say that revised total again real quick?
Yes, sir. The revised total will be $1,718,000.34.
Okay, I see it at the bottom. I think
I'm not
that,
saying- I'm-
200,000, you got it. I was hearing it as 200, well, no, it's 700,000. I'm following you now.
Yeah.
You just saved me $500,000.
1.2.
Thank you.
2 million.
I apologize for my
No,
confusion.
no, I'm good. I appreciate it.
Any other questions from the board or comments?
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
is it fair to assume, or when I saw this, that the scope of work has almost doubled from the first contract to this now changed amendment?
What's your question?
That
I'm
the
sorry.
scope of work has almost doubled, just by looking at the graphs? That's what it looked like to me in layman's terms, the size and scope.
Yeah,
of
the
what we're
size of the
doing.
project has increased significantly, especially for the Wendell Falls Parkway and Eagle Rock Road intersection. We looked at that initially, then the scope increased based on what development was going on, and then we also extended it down to Jake May to where we can cover it from once we start the project to complete it, and this gets us to 60% drawings. With the understanding that we will have an amendment back before you sometime in fiscal year '27 to get drawings from 60% to 100% where we can move to construction.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
To clarify for the board, the 100% drawings and construction are in the capital improvement plan and in the capital budget for next year. So everything that tonight and for next year and all the way through construction is planned and budgeted with funds available.
It's just an administrative item we'll have to do to modify the contract.
One other question real quick, and the manager can grab this one if he wants to, but whose facilities are these? Like, who owns these roads and whose responsibility is it normally to improve them?
Want me to?
I'll take it.
You go ahead and start.
I'll start it, let's say. Thank you, Mr. Collins. So these are NCDOT maintained roads. The town is, based on the impact it's having on our residents, the town is stepping up and moving these projects forward because the DOT, while they realize it's their responsibility, their timeline to address this is so far out, it would continue to negatively impact our residents and our town for the significant foreseeable future. So that's why the town has stepped up to make sure that these improvements happen in a more timely manner. Mr. Manager, would I leave
I would
anything
just
else?
add a couple things that y'all are aware of for public awareness is the alignment is such that we're not impacting the existing residential corridor at Eagle Rock and Wendell Falls Parkway. And staff met with those residents, and so they were pleased that we had shifted the road north. So that was part of the change that we needed to reflect. Also, when we started designing this, this area wasn't even in the town. None of these properties had been annexed at this point. So we were the board and the staff are thinking forward to a point where maintaining open arteries, if you will, and so that while there's inconvenience, traffic can keep flowing. We're designing for build-out of our transportation plan, not short-sighted incremental improvements, so that it's not going to be a construction site forever. It'll be a construction site while it is, and then it's going to be done. We're extending it down to Jake May so that the side path will be maintained by the town, and that will provide, since golf carts can't be on state roads, will provide for golf cart and pedestrian access off of the road. So that is also something that I know y'all have heard for a number of years is incorporated into this project as well. So trying to think through anything else on this, but it's about a 50% increase, but the project has expanded in scope and impact by equal amount. Oh, we also are a good partner with DOT in that we're holding improvement funds for other developments that happen, like on Jake May or Eagle Rock Road, or adjoining, that are required to do improvements. The town is holding those funds and putting it into the project so it's done at once. And so each successive developer's not out there tearing it up and causing inconvenience. So we're coordinating a difficult dance that the state doesn't have a process for currently, but municipalities do.
So just to sum it up,
We're
I'm going to say it again. We are taking some roads that are DOT roads, and that when we started, we're not even in our corporate city limits. And we are also coordinating with development in the area to keep it from being a continual construction project for the next 10 years, so we can go ahead and get all of it done at one time on behalf of the citizens of Wendell. So thank you for that.
yes, ma'am.
And all the people on Facebook who are belly aching about it, I'm talking to you.
Are you speaking to the reporter of Channel 20 News?
I'm happy to. Have them call me. Please call us and let's talk about it. I know it's fun to get on Facebook and complain, but please stop that. Doesn't serve you well. All right. Any other questions from the board?
Happy to make a motion,
Motion.
Madam Mayor. Motion to approve contract amendment for VHB for design services related to Wendell Falls Parkway and Eagle Rock Road, and Eagle Rock Road extension to Wendell Boulevard transportation projects.
All right, we have a motion to approve the contract amendment for VHB for design services related to Wendell Falls Parkway and Eagle Rock Road extension to Wendell Boulevard transportation projects. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Item 6B is fiscal year 2026 annual operating budget ordinance amendment number 5. Mr. Johnson.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. Bringing before you today another budget ordinance amendment for the FY26 operating budget. As you are all familiar with at this point, and Mark kind of indicated earlier, we're required to maintain a balanced budget throughout the fiscal year, not just at the original adoption. We review the performance of revenues, the need to increase any expenditures that we may not have previously foreseen, or just shifting some budget expenditures around between departments. The couple highlights is primarily to recognize several revenues that are continuing to outperform. I would say probably 75% of the revenues that are in your proposed budget ordinance amendment are revenues that have actually been received. There's no forward-looking projections. The only two, I believe, that have not actually been recognized are your DMV tax revenue and your motor vehicle license revenues. And that's using the Wake County Tax Assessor's end-of-year projections as we continue to get monthly disbursements. Looking from the expenditure side, primarily just shifting around, recognizing internal budget amendments within individual departments, which you have given the town manager as the budget officer the authority to move things around. And the biggest component of this amendment is recognizing the contract amendment that you just approved in the previous item. About 384,000 of the contract amendment is reappropriating fund balance from a prior year where we thought we were going to be much further along in the project. And another 403,000 is through our transportation general obligation bonds to total about 787,000, which was, again, the amendment amount. So if you kind of do some quick math, we only increased our fund balance appropriation by 238,000-ish in that ballpark, and 384 was actually part of this contract. So we were actually, outside of this amendment, we were going to be reducing fund balance. So aside from this previous obligation, we're sitting at a pretty healthy spot at this point in the fiscal year. So with all that said, happy to take any questions. Otherwise, seeking a motion to adopt the ordinance amendment.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board? All right, do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, make a motion to adopt ordinance O-23, 2026, amendment number 5 of the fiscal year 2026 annual operating budget ordinance.
All right, thank you. We have a motion to adopt ordinance O-2326, amendment number 5 of the fiscal year 2026 annual operating budget ordinance. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. All right, thank you. We'll move into our other business. We have one tonight, update from Campo, Commissioner Eatman.
Had our Campo meeting last week. Top line probably was the hearing and approval of the Wake Transit Work Plan for the upcoming fiscal year. That's about all.
Okay. All right, we'll move into our commissioners' reports and comments and start with Commissioner Deloach.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A few items. I will say Sarah Betancourt, who was here earlier, my wife and I actually had an opportunity to drive her to youth leadership camp last year and spent a great deal of time with her, and she's delightful. And I think you could see her personality speaking today. So good job. Proud of you, Sarah. I want to thank Manager Collins. Congratulate him. Obviously, his lovely wife is here as well. So appreciate your support and your extended family. I will speak for the extended family and say congratulations. Appreciate all you do. Thank you to town staff. Tonight's Super Bowl night for Manager Collins. He presented the budget, and want to thank all the effort from everybody. I had an opportunity to go to Public Works. Mr. Bray is here. He got to show off his fine facility. We cut a ribbon over there. Many years of hard work, thought process, really cool to see kind of the napkin drawing versus what it is today. So that was really cool to see. State of the art. Like they mentioned, they joked about it being equivalent to a NASCAR situation as far as just the type of facilities, the lifts and bays and whatnot. So really cool place. If you have not had an opportunity to get by there, I'm sure they'll give you a tour. Really cool facility, so thank you for that. Hot dog 250 cookout. I'll show this. I don't know if it's on, but You can get a T-shirt, Wendell Museum. It's got a really cool thing going on. So June the 4th, which is next Thursday, as they say, Thursday week. My wife will give me a hard time for saying that, and I'm not an old man. But 5 to 7, Wendell Museum. Take a tour, get a T-shirt. It really is top-notch, first-rate. So, and you get a hot dog as well. So a hot dog and a T-shirt, cannot beat that. And I think that that is going to do it for me tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Benson,
Nothing additional for me.
Commissioner Eatman.
Just to reiterate the appreciation for all of the staff, obviously, Mark, your leadership to get us to tonight. I always feel like we don't talk about the budget stuff enough when we get to this point, but it's because we've talked about it enough already, as we've said. So just thank y'all for all your work. It makes our jobs really easy, the way that y'all handle this whole process. So just appreciate all of you.
Commissioner Honeycutt.
I think the board and the mayor take great pride in shouting out things, and certainly I do on Facebook and social media, and sometimes I highlight the big things, and we talk about the June 17th first responders thing where Paul's invited everybody under the sun to come, which we appreciate, brings a lot of attention to Wendell, and it's for a good cause. First responders obviously goes without saying. Thank you, Captain Lloyd in the back, who's got one in the room right now. But sometimes I'm remiss in my duties, and sometimes it's not always the big things. I happened to be riding down Main Street a couple days last week, and my mistake was my window was down in my truck, and I got called out by 3 very distinguished ladies that had just been released from the festivities of the Garden Club. I think there's another name for it, but I'm going to call it the Garden Club. And in so doing, they reminded me that I missed a shout-out, and that sometimes it is not the biggest things that matter, it is the smallest things that perhaps, and if the cameraman wants to zoom in, it's the smallest things that make the biggest news. And I'll just spin this over here. So big shout out. So Emma Eatman, I know you're watching. Commissioner Deans Eatman and Emma Eatman are expecting baby boy Eatman in November. Congratulations, sir. So I've officially rectified that. Thank you for reminding me, Emma. That's all, Madam Mayor.
Commissioner Ingalls.
I wasn't planning to say anything, but I was. Yeah, you misspelled his last name.
It's been repaired.
And Manager Collins did remind us that.
Sorry.
I think that flyer should be just as correct as our budget document. So, but it has been rectified. I see. No, I don't think I have anything else other than congratulate Mark and Crystal and also the staff for separate reasons, but. And I hope the public is able to digest all the wonderful documents that were presented tonight, and folks who were not able to tune in or be present. If they have any questions, you've got 13 days. So,
Thank you. Real quickly, I went to the grand opening and the ribbon cutting of the Public Works. That building is just a home run. I'm so proud of it, and I was so pleased and excited for the employees. It's important for them to be able to operate swiftly and efficiently, and facilities are a big part of that, and giving them the ability to have what they need right in front of them. They can serve citizens better when we put them in a position to succeed. Their days are better, and I think that's part of our responsibility as well, to see to their days being better. And this facility does that. So thanks to all that made it happen. Changes like this naturally create some disarray, and y'all, I wasn't aware of any, which is miraculous if there was some. So kudos for getting moved and everybody getting straight and continuing to do all the things that you already do. I think that Public Works is kind of the fallback position, and I know that I'm guilty of it. There'll be things that come up around town, and I'll ask the town manager, I'll say, well, can't somebody from Public Works just take care of that? And I shouldn't say that, but I do, so I'm just going to admit that. But y'all do a fantastic job, and you continue to do that during the planning and building and having to oversee that and the process of that, and then the process of getting moved in, and I'm sure you're still getting straight and organized. So thank you so much for that. It looks really great. I attended the Carver 5th grade and spoke at the promotion ceremony this past week, and it was such a great day. those kids were so cute and excited about middle school. So Wendell Middle School better buckle up because they are coming next fall. They're very excited about being there. Their parents and families were real excited. As always, it's always bittersweet when the little kids go from 5th grade to 6th grade. It's a milestone occasion for parents, and it's hard sometimes. And anyhow, they all handled it well. There were some tears, but everybody was great, and the children are going to do great next year, and thank you for inviting me. I have some quick reminders. The BMX show is Saturday, May 30th, and the shows are at 11 and 2, so come on out, bring your kids, right in downtown Wendell, as always. If they would like to participate, they usually provide helmets and knee pads and things like that to keep your kids safe. And then I was also going to mention the hot dog thing, but someone's already mentioned it. But you can walk through there. If you walk through the museum, you get a free T-shirt. And I have the only one in town that's available for viewing right now. It's really great. And I wash it and wear it almost every day, so I can get it out there for people to ask me about it. Also, the Wendell Market is coming up on June 4th, so don't forget about that. And I had one other thing that I wanted to tell you. I attended the Memorial Day ceremony at the town square, and it reminded me, and I think about it every year, the summer that Bruce and I got married, and I'm from Washington, North Carolina. Another couple got married that same summer. And so we were kind of invited to each other's little parties and things like that. That was back in the day when you had 100 parties when you got married, and we went to each other's things. And so we kind of got married the same summer, buddies and that. And the husband was a captain in the United States Air Force, and he had gone to high school with all of us, and they were a year younger than me. And he was killed on the last day of the Persian Gulf War. He flew a Warthog, and I can't remember, an A-10 Warthog, and he was hit, was unable to steer it correctly and steered it away from the aircraft carrier. And so he crashed and was killed, leaving his young wife of, 24, 25. And it was a tragedy, and I think about them, and I think about her and him every year on Memorial Day. So there are always people that are impacted. So it's not just a trip to the beach. All right, I think we have a closed session.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that the board go in closed session pursuant to NC General Statute 143-318-11 for both A3 and A5.